listening to the Good Girl Podcast. I am Cameo King, your host. The Good Girl Podcast is a podcast that is redefining what it means to be good. And we do this through uncomfortable conversations, and I call those uncomfortable conversations confessions. So every week we have someone on sharing a confession. The goal is to heal, to set free, and to have people walk in their authenticity, because there's nothing better than that. Freedom is the goal. I also think peace is the goal as well. But that's another conversation. But anyway, we're here. Whoop, whoop, and over that. Too bad. I oftentimes just have these random songs that I just want to share. And it very much indicates the era in which I grew up in. That was Trina, if you don't know, who's been the baddest bee since... I don't know. I know a couple of Trina lyrics. Maybe surprising to some. Others, it's like, oh yeah, it's Cammy all day. But anyway, we're here. This week's podcast is going to be a little bit different. It's coming from my wee little heart. It is a sincere message that I believe will help many of us, especially those of us who want to see our hopes, our dreams, our desires, our hard work come to fruition. I believe this message, this conversation, what I'm sharing with you, will hopefully allow you to see it in a different way, through a different lens. I believe it'll hit home for those of us who have been working, praying, believing, and pushing past our feelings to stand on our principles to get what we desire. This life that we can only live once, as far as we know, right? This message is specifically for those who simply may have been at it for a minute. And that it can be anything. It could be you looking for your boo, your life partner. It could be you trying to get to that place of financial freedom. It could be you wanting to walk in a certain level of success in your purpose. It could be you not wanting to struggle with a physical ailment, or even attempting to reconcile with family members. Whatever it is, you are ready to get to the next level, and you are ready to be done with where you are at. If it ain't you, it's me, okay? That's why I tell y'all, this is coming from my heart. And so I want to talk about what it means to let go, maybe the art of letting go. And even as I say those words, let go, I feel the sensation and sadness, almost a heartache in the pit of my stomach. Sometimes I feel it in my hands too. It like starts on the sides of my hands, and then I feel it in my stomach, and then somehow, some way it goes up to my eyes. But then it never comes out as tears. But that's sincerely what it feels like, because I know those words, let go. I know what they mean, right? There are some things that I do not want to let go of, some hopes, some dreams, some deep desires that I have, but I do as well understand the process and the purpose of letting go. So anyway, the difficulty in letting go for me, and probably for many of us, is because we have been at it for a minute. We are the hard workers. We are those who have learned to switch and pivot. We have rolled out. Is it rolled out or ridden out? I don't know what it is, but y'all get what I'm saying. Many storms, and we have accepted where we are, but we continue the fight. That difficulty comes in that letting go very much feels like giving up. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, giving up is not in my blood. It's just not a part of who I am. I'm that type of person who I will work at a problem for umpteenth hours and even continue into the next day for another 6 hours, because I don't believe in giving up, and that I will eventually figure it out. And I typically do. I don't care what the problem is. I figure it out. So this idea of letting go, or how it often translates into my heart of giving up, is foreign to me, and dare I say it, even repulsive, right? It's like the antithesis of the path to get to my goals and dreams. And even as I'm sharing this in this moment, I understand why I get so emotional. There's this one song, anytime I hear it, y'all, I can hear this song in the distance. I can hear a couple of chords of the song, and it will send me into I don't want to say a downward spiral, but these emotions will bubble back up, right? And it's a song by an artist, Dwayne Woods, and it's Let Go and Let God. I'm sure you guys heard it. Kind of want to sing it, even though I can't sing, but because I feel like I'm like, Cameo, don't you dare sing, because I'm just gonna mess this whole rest of this podcast up for y'all, because it is a it is a sincere, heartfelt song, and I feel like if I sing it, I don't want it etched into your memory, and then when you hear it for real, you're gonna be like, oh my God, that was a song Cameo was singing. But the words are just simply let go, let God, let go, let God. Like that's the chorus, right? As soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, as soon as I let go and let God have his way, that's when things start happening. When I start looking at back then. So those are the lyrics, and I'm even beginning to get emotional now. And the reason why I get emotional, because it's almost frightening for me to do. I don't know about y'all again, but it's frightening, and it's something that I would say that I refuse to do because of how let go and giving up is connected. It seems like I am laying down my sword in this fight for what I desire when I let go. And this thought process has been reaffirmed because think about it. Many of us, I know I have been told that for a good portion of our lives that we can do anything, that we can achieve anything, just work hard, pray, be a good human, and things will fall into place. If you don't work hard, work harder. And then after you work harder, work your hardest, work hard some more, and then you will eventually get there. I mean, we can dissect that if you want to about the hard work ethic and the grind culture, and oftentimes it's not just about working hard, but the idea is you put in your time, right? And you will eventually see the fruits of your labor. And then on top of that, we hear testimonies. We get excited and we get motivated, ready to run through walls when we hear these stories of triumph of people who have done that almost just before they was going to give up, just before they was going to let go, and then boom, it was a windfall of whatever it was, right? We hear it and we almost drool over those type of stories. But in this moment, as I'm sharing my thoughts with you, as I'm sharing my heart with you, I really wonder what part of that story included letting go. What part of that story included sacrifice? And I'm not talking about sacrifice when it comes to hard work towards your goals, or the long nights, or deciding not to do some things or live some places for a temporary amount of time. I'm not talking about that. The thing that comes to mind, oh, you were shooting with me in the gym, right? I'm not talking about that type of hard work. I'm talking about the sacrifice that comes when it tells you to let the original dream go. Right? Let the original dream go. That's hard, because I'm sure, like you, I've held on to some of these dreams since I was a child. Right? Some of these dreams that you worked for, that you performed for, like I was a good little girl, that you sacrificed for your entire life, and something is telling you, like that song, or you see something, or you hear something that says, I need you to let go of that. And you like, no. That's my response. Just no, just like that. Let that original dream go. But what I've come to realize is that this space of letting that original dream go, that it is actually necessary, and it is a constant process of getting us to where we really desire, right? And I say this, so let me be clear before I start, running my mouth too much. I say this, I think, from a place of not being on the other side of it in totality, right? Because I think we all have these like really big dreams and desires, and I've seen some things and I've done some things and I've been a part of some things that I couldn't even begin to imagine that have satisfied my soul, things that I pushed back on. But the way God would have it, and the way I somewhat fell into some of these situations, the way I fell into some of these careers and opportunities, it was nothing but God, and I wasn't concerned about this area of my life. I'm gonna give you an example. And so outside of the podcast, outside of my background in media and journalism, I also have a nonprofit, Grit, Glam, and Guts. You guys may have heard this story before, but I share it again. I was working for a nonprofit. I was working in radio at the time. And again, it was one of those moments. I'm sure that song came on. I'm like, I don't want to let go. And I didn't want to leave radio because it also is a passion of mine. I love what I do. and I had worked with young people maybe once or twice talking about media. But anyway, I came on board full-time for this nonprofit, working with youth. It was great. It was fun. It filled my soul. And then my boss at the time told me, I have a project for you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she was like, I want you to do something with girls. And I straight up turned my nose up. Like, I don't want anything to do with girls. Like, that was my attitude, because I've been around girls like my whole life. Like, I'm a classically trained dancer. I have a lot of girl cousins. And also my history, like even in high school, Kim, I had 1.5 boyfriends. So I don't want to be around girls. I was in church. I don't want to be around girls. I wanted some boys. I was about to say it. But anyway, so I was like, no. So fast forward, she was like, Cameo, my boss at the time, Cameo, I have to tell you something. I said, okay. And so she came to me and she said, Cameo, God told me this project that you're working on with girls, it's not for me, but it's for you. And you know what Cameo did? I didn't say this to her face, but I turned around and I said to myself, well, God ain't tell me that. Like, that's legit what I said to myself, word for word. But here we are going into our 9th year of the nonprofit Grit, Glam, and Guts. And I absolutely love the work. I don't know where I would be emotionally. I don't know where I would be spiritually. I don't know where I would, without this work. And while I do the work for the girls, it also fills me in so many ways. It opens my eyes. It opens my perspective. It even informs this work that I'm doing here on the podcast. And so that's just an example of letting go and not really being aware of our desires, and just I guess letting God do what he does. And so I feel like I'm at this crossroad again, and I'm sure many of us are there again, letting go and allowing God to do what God does. And this is what I mean when I say it could be one of the most difficult things to do. Also, it could be one of the most rewarding things to do, is to let go. Because the thing about it, the thing that I struggled with when I was debating between the nonprofit work and radio, and I never really stopped radio and media and things like that. The things that I was debating with is that I would not be able to function and perform and to go after the dreams I desired while doing this, right? Because I was afraid to let go. I didn't want to trust whatever God had for me. I didn't trust God. Like real talk. I did not trust God, and I think that's where I am today, because I'm like, God is telling me to do some things, and your girl don't want to do it. I'm doing it. I'm moving forward with the process. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know where I'm going to land. I'll say that. I know where I want to land, but I don't know exactly where I'm going to land. What this has revealed to me is this letting go is oftentimes a battle of who and what is in control. And when I say that, so I am going to sing this one. So when I say that, I think about that song, who do you think you are? Ha, 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 bless your soul. You think you're in control, right? And so it makes me think about that, because there's a battle oftentimes of who is truly in control of our lives. It's like we have this free will, but we're also guided by things we cannot control. Like, I definitely have the free will to go and to do and to land, as I mentioned, wherever I want to land. I also could have at that time 9 years ago and said, no, I don't want to do this. Or I could have stopped in that moment and said, no, I don't want to do this. But then where would I be? How much leverage did I really have? Because there was a part of my soul that needed to be satisfied through that work. And so it still would have been calling me, and I still would have had to answer in some way, shape, or form. Another small example of, what do we really think we're in control of, right? I like to give as practical examples as possible. I cannot control my taste buds, right? And when I say this, I'm sure there's some type of scientific reason. Well, yes, you can if you eat this food and it's going to take this taste off your mouth. And blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I get that. I don't want to go too deep. But for the most part, many of us may have an aversion to certain type of foods, like you don't like tomatoes, or you don't like. I think I saw on the. I think I saw on Facebook that someone said cantaloupe is like the dirty fruit, which is hilarious to me. I love cantaloupe, but you cannot help what you do not like. When it hits your taste buds, you can't do anything about that. So I also like certain colors. I like certain smells. I can't do anything about that. I was not the author of my soul, of the things that I like. I did not write on Cameo Soul, you don't like this, you like this, you want that, you are attracted to this color, you won't like this color, right? So we have this tension between yielding to ourselves or yielding to the Creator, which one can even argue, if God put these desires in me, is that not one and the same? But again, that's another conversation. That's another conversation. But what I believe these are markers or indicators of where I should be going. And the goal is to get to our desires or to satisfy whatever calling or yearning I may have. I also believe, again, peace is the goal. It's not just to satisfy that calling, but it's peace. But peace is the goal. So I have, I'll say, 3 approaches to what does this look like practically? What does letting go look like practically? What does letting go in the midst of of having this healthy desire towards our goal, or having this healthy calling, something that is calling us to a certain place, something that in a sense we can't help. Like, I can't help that my body responds to the sunshine, right? I can't, and I should move to a place like that, right? I can't help that my soul leaps around people in the arts community, right? I can't help that. That is a part of who I am. And so 3 simple approaches that I think will help you, that I'm applying to my life as well. So if you decide to take on these approaches, and you can get you a pen and paper now. I don't know if you listen to this in your car or if you are maybe cleaning, but just trying to give you a little bit of time to maybe gather paper, pen, something. But anyway, 3 approaches that I think is going to help you navigate letting go, the art of letting go. Number 1, knowing that there is so much in the world to discover that could encompass our desires. I've said this so many times this week that my perspective is so limited. And when I say that, I have only one experience to pull from, which is my own. I can listen to other people's experience, but being a Black woman raised in Detroit during a certain time period, my experiences are limited to time. My experiences are limited to my culture. My experiences are limited to what I have been taught, the faith that I profess. Oftentimes it is limited to that. And if we believe and approach this art of letting go, knowing that there is so much more in the world to discover that could encompass our desires, I think letting go of that original dream will flow a lot easier, right? Because oftentimes we believe there's only one path to getting us to what we desire, or that there's only one thing to satisfy our soul in a certain way. But if we believe that there is so much in this world to discover, I think it'll definitely shift that lens. Number 2, knowing that peace is the goal, not necessarily attaining these things or getting to that destination, or even that those things or that destination can provide that peace, but rather that peace is about appreciating the present moment and sitting with and in God's presence, right? We can go anywhere in the world, but if we are not carrying peace with us, because I say this because life is going to happen. Life is going to listen, if we haven't learned anything over 2020, life is going to happen. And I believe what we desire in every situation is peace, whether we are experiencing a deep pain, whether we have a regret, whether we have a desire. We want peace as we are experiencing some of these things. So understand that oftentimes a destination, a thing is not going to give you that peace, or it could give you that peace in part, but it is not the author of that piece. And because I don't want to discount what a change of scenery can do for you, right? I don't want to discount what having more consistent income can do for you. I don't want to discount what having support in whatever area you need can do for you. Don't want to discount any of that. But what I am saying is that peace is available to us at every place in our life. And the peace in these external things is temporary, because just as much as it is present, it can be wiped away. And number 3, I think this is the big one. It's the hard one. And I kind of started with this. So number 3, in terms of understanding this art of letting go, is that what God is really asking us to do, I believe, when he asks us to let go or go down this path, is God is trying to reveal a better version of ourselves, a better version of life for us. He's trying to get us to let go of the lesser version of ourselves, the lesser version of the things we desire. And that is the kicker, right? That we are trying to let go of a lesser version of the things we desire, a lesser version of ourselves. And mind you, now this doesn't negate that core desire, but what it does is it really laser focuses us to get to the heart of the matter. I know you guys have seen it. I know y'all have seen it. It's an image on Facebook, and it's supposed to be Jesus. I think it's like white Jesus. But anyway, Jesus has this huge teddy bear behind his back, and then there's this little girl with a smaller teddy bear, and Jesus is has his hand out and is asking the little girl to give the smaller teddy bear so she can get the bigger teddy bear. And that's essentially what I'm trying to communicate. And part of me is like, well, why you got it behind your back? If you just don't show me it, and I'll let it go, right? But I don't think that's how it works, because it's about trusting God. That develops a different dependency on God, a different level of trust. It's a part of our faith walk, because faith is not about seeing per se. I mean, it's great. It's great when we can see. It's great when things are made manifest. But I think a huge part of the journey is believing and walking in faith before you truly see. And so letting go, y'all, if you're at this crossroad, it's really about letting go of that lesser version of your desire. And it's hard because many of us, like myself, these are some desires we've held since we were children. Some of these desires are almost connected to our trauma, right? And it's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. But even when I think about letting go of a lesser version of ourselves, I believe what God is calling us to, if it is connected to trauma, is that I can make you whole. You don't need these things to satisfy your soul. There is something better than that, better than you moving and living your life based on a traumatic experience that happened when you were a child or happened when you were an adult, whatever it is. This is what I have for y'all. So I hope this encouraged somebody. This is a journey I'm on. I'm not sharing this as though I have completely been there and done that, because I have seen God move in that way, but I believe I'm at another crossroad, and I do not want to let go at a certain space in my life, because I am, in all honesty, I'm fearful of the outcome. I'm fearful that the outcome isn't going to be what I want it to be, that I'm not going to land where I desire to land and where I have been desiring to land forever. Y'all feel a little bit of anger, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy, but I'm trying to trust. But if you are listening, if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment. And as always, make sure you are following us on Instagram. That's where we're probably the most active. And as well as Twitter and on Facebook. Also, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast, right? So you may be hearing this, maybe somebody shared it with you, but subscribe to our podcast. Therefore, you get these podcasts every time they come out. You get a little notification to your phone. You can also drop your number on our Instagram profile and we'll send you a text maybe once a week when the podcast drops to let you know it is there, and boom, you can click it and you will be right there listening, right? So thank you so much for listening to the Good Girl Podcast. I am Cameo King, and I hope you continue to believe in the good.